Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. In this special edition, we're focusing on the world of sports, which, like every sector of life, is still very much dominated by male attitudes when it comes to professional female athletes. So when an elite athlete announces her pregnancy, she'll no doubt receive many congratulatory messages wishing her well. On her retirement, that is. But top athletes are slowly managing to prove that motherhood and sporting life are not incompatible, as Natasha Vesnich and Claire Paquelin report.
Every day, Manon does a CrossFit workout. 6 months pregnant, the 31-year-old sailor, who competed in the Tokyo Olympics, is no longer sailing, but stopping sport altogether was out of the question. She's adapted her workouts during her pregnancy.
Franchement, le plus dur, c'est qu'on n'a plus d'air. J'ai besoin de respirer dans un sac plastique.
Manon stopped competing 6 weeks into her pregnancy. She sails boats that go up to 100 kilometers an hour for the International Sailing Grand Prix, Sail GP. It would have been too dangerous during her pregnancy, so she told her team early on.
Ça m'a stressée, c'est sûr, parce qu'on ne sait jamais comment les gens vont réagir. J'avais pas trop de doutes non plus, mais voilà, il y a toujours cette petite anxiété.
She plans to compete in January next year in the United Arab Emirates leg of the Sail GP competition for teams. Until then, she won't be paid.
Il va pas falloir que je prenne trop de temps, je pense, parce que je suis auto-entrepreneur et du coup, en fait, on est payé au jour de navigation, donc quand on navigue pas, on n'est pas payé.
In high-level sport, few women benefit from paid maternity leave.
Cool. Allez, bonne séance.
Getting back into the game after baby is born is another challenge. And yet, at France's National Institute of Sport, we met a gynecologist who told us that the performance of some sportswomen improves after they have a child.
Il y a un renforcement de la motivation, il y a un renforcement aussi de l'épanouissement, parce qu'on y est arrivé. C'était un challenge supplémentaire et on repart sur autre chose, très certainement, avec une meilleure gestion du stress, des émotions, une prise de recul qui va aider l'athlète à performer.
In May this year, Clarisse Agbenienou won her 6th world judo title in the under 63 kilogram category. The French sportswoman sealed her victory making an A sign for Athena, her 10-month-old daughter, who was in the stands. She also defied anyone who thought it was impossible to combine breastfeeding and high-level sports. Manon, an optimist who's always up for a challenge, says finding childcare will certainly be one.
Ce qu'on aimerait bien dans le circuit CIGP, c'est essayer de demander un système de crèche ou de nounou, parce qu'on est plusieurs mamans dans le même cas, et même des papas. Après, c'est un peu souvent plus facile pour eux, mais de pouvoir venir avec nos enfants, les laisser la journée quand on s'entraîne et les récupérer le soir, ce serait incroyable. Donc on va essayer un peu de pousser là-dessus.
It's a message that needs to be heard by sporting federations and sponsors, so that high-level sportswomen can have children without it being an obstacle in their careers.
And joining me now from Dublin is Rebecca O'Keefe, a basketball player with the Irish Super League and a researcher and writer who specialises in both gender and human rights. Rebecca, thank you so much for joining us. So much is clearly not known about the female body when it comes to competitive sports. And as we saw there in that previous report, an athlete's professional life should not come to a screaming halt simply because she's a mother. So how do we change attitudes?
Yeah, changing attitudes are slow. But I do think, a gap in the research is largely a large part of this problem. Women's bodies have not been a consideration in a lot of research, and that needs to change. And that comes down to funding. It comes down to, getting more standardized testing. Now, it is hard because, everyone's bodies are different. Everyone will experience menstruation, pelvic health, breast health, all differently. But that's not to say education is sorely needed.
And with your experience as an athlete, how did physiological issues impact your performance and training?
Oh, it would have really impacted me. I was playing at a high level from a very young age, but I also suffered and still suffer with bad periods and menstruation and PMS. And back then, the default was just to go on hormonal contraception. So I was put on the pill for so long. And it was never a consideration in my training, in my strength and conditioning, and it was never even kind of talked about. And, you know, I would have had kind of a male-dominated coaching staff, physios, the whole back staff, which is not necessarily a problem, but it just made the conversations harder. And again, no one really wanted to engage in that. But I do think now, having come to the other end of my career, that the conversation is shifting. A lot more people are more attuned to it, to their bodies, to even tracking, to kind of seeing how your cycle and your PMS and everything goes with it and your body is impacting training, or how you can now adapt training to it. So it's just gaining a better understanding of your body and listening to your body. And it's a long way to go, but it's still getting there. Conversation is definitely happening, but we need to press on. It's still quite stigmatized, still quite taboo. It's still under-researched.
Rebecca, let's just take a pause there, because in a welcome move, several French sporting federations are not shying away in talking about menstruation. As our reporters found out, French officials working in the field of wrestling have even launched a scientific program to analyse the menstrual data of their athletes in order to improve their performance.
Long ignored, minimised and swept under the carpet, we know very little about the effects of the menstrual cycle on athletes. 84% say they experience their period as a hindrance. Since 2021, France's top sports institute, INSEP, has been developing a scientific programme to better understand the consequences of periods in order to improve athletes' performance.
Female athletes represent 6 to 13% of subjects in scientific studies, compared with 65 to 82% for men. They're really underrepresented. The project was designed to answer questions on the specific characteristics of female athletes. It's an essential tool for performance, but above all, for health.
14% of elite athletes stop getting their periods altogether, and 55% have a disrupted cycle. Over 100 athletes from 8 federations are taking part in the Empower project. The French wrestling team has been involved since September. Every day, these women answer a questionnaire about their menstrual cycle, but also about their sleep or their diet.
For example, I got my period yesterday. These are questions made for those who are on the pill or who aren't.
Stomach aches, back pain, a decrease in motivation. A number of athletes still suffer in silence because of the lack of information available and because they feel embarrassed about bringing it up. But in a historically male-dominated sports culture, talking more freely about periods has also helped reinforce bonds with the coaching staff.
It's a relief to know that when I'm in an important preparation phase and that I have a problem, I'm not going to have to deal with it on my own. I know that my sports career won't be negatively impacted because of this problem, because I've got a whole staff team behind me.
Another consequence of periods is weight gain, which is a crucial element in a sport like wrestling, which has strict weight categories. Tournaments, goals and training are tailored to each wrestler for them to perform at the best of their ability on the big day.
When it comes to high-performance sport, we want to be able to act on all the different factors involved as we head towards the Paris Olympics. With that in mind, we're looking at female performance, the impact of periods, of contraception, and the physiological impact of periods on the day of competition. We want to be able to take control of the data.
Part of the project's objective is also for French athletes to bring back more Olympic medals in 2024.
And with me is Rebecca O'Keefe, a basketball player with the Irish Super League and a researcher and writer who specialises in both gender and human rights. Rebecca, menstruation is a very normal part of a woman's health, but missing periods is often and very wrongly seen as a normal response to training. And as a result, there's an epidemic of REDS, a syndrome of poor health among many female athletes. But is there enough awareness among both coaches and managers about this?
No, I don't think so. We have a long way to go, and it's more common than we think it is. And missing periods, irregular periods, is one manifestation of REDS. But it's just so problematic that we associate performance and success and typically slimmer bodies with that in mainstream, in sports. And that is a very damaging message to put across. And pursuing such success and performance comes at the risk of your long-term health. And I think the messaging needs to be, the narrative needs to be flipped, that we can perform in your period, you can get PBs, you still can perform at your optimal level with menstruation and with healthy nutrition, healthy sleep, everything that goes with a holistic approach. And it's not just pursuing these records at the cost of your long-term health.
And we've just seen in that report that some sports officials in France are finally starting to address the issue of menstruation. But it shouldn't just be about improving one's performance, but also, more importantly, the well-being of the athlete. Surely, Rebecca?
Certainly. Again, like I said, balancing performance with your long-term health needs to be more considered in sport. And taking a whole holistic approach to this with your nutrition, your physios, your coaches, everyone getting involved, becoming more aware of your body, listening to your body, adapting training to that is so important. And I think not everyone's going to want to be an elite athlete, no, but even recreational sports, even down to school kids participating in sports, it all has to trickle down to those levels, that you cannot risk your long-term health for success or celebrated success in these sports, because you can still achieve and still perform with your menstruation cycle.
Rebecca O'Keefe, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
And that's all for this edition. We'd love to hear your suggestions for the 51%, so do get in touch via Facebook, Instagram or Twitter. And you can catch our previous episodes on our website. So until our next show, bye for now.